The hardest part about parenting any child happens to change as time goes by, as they grow. I always thought the hardest part was watching my little ones climb up those steps of the school bus on that first day of kindergarten or any other grade. And then it quickly changed to watching them start middle school, join a football team, attend their first dance, and heck, even have their first relationship experience. So, all of my personal hardest parts of parenting were mainly based on them growing up and watching it in front of my eyes. My babies were growing up. That's hard. But never once in my wildest nightmares did I think the hardest part was actually going to be watching our little ones go through hell and not know how to fix any of it. I mean, parents are supposed to be able to fix all their children's problems and know what they need. Mamas, I mean, come on, when my kids were younger, I could kiss that boo-boo and put a little Band-Aid on it and all was good. But this time it wasn't. Hello, I am Angie and welcome to my podcast, Chaotic Harmony. I am here to tell you that no matter how many child locks you put in place around your house, there will always be that one spot you missed. No matter how many baby gates you put up just to give yourself that peace of mind when you want to turn your head around, just for that 1 second, there will be some sort of danger around the corner anyway. No matter how many times you tell your child no, there will always come a time where that no won't matter and your child will do it anyway. That is life. That is how they learn. You may think you have control of that narrative, but honey, you really don't. As much as I wanted to safeguard my children from any kind of harm or pain this world has to offer, the universe had different plans for us. Everything I thought I knew about our parenting of our, Brady bunch, I guess you could call it, changed in a blink of an eye one night in July of 2019. I was excited that night because I was going to wake up and it was going to be my wedding anniversary. We were going to be going on a trip or so. I don't remember if we were going on a trip that time or not, but I think we were. And I thought I was dreaming. I was in bed and I thought I was dreaming, and it was not really a dream, more like a nightmare, because it was my son. My son was screaming, "Dad's dead. Dad's dead." And I'm laying in bed like, what? And I wake up, and now, mind you, at that time, I was on a lot of medication, so sleeping medication specifically. So I had a lot of weird dreams. But I heard that door swing open, that front door, and I heard my son stomping, and it was so real. So I poked my head up and I looked, and there was my son Maxwell trampling around the house, screaming, "Dad is dead! Dad died! Dad is dead!" And you could see that he was trying to grasp that situation and what happened and trying to tell me at the same time, but he was so out of it, and I had to try to stop him, but he just kept trampling around. And then he says, "You need to go outside. You need to go outside. You need to go outside." So I went outside, and still in disbelief, because I just had talked to his father. We had just went through kind of a tornado watch, and I just had talked to him on the phone when I was in the basement. His last words to me were, "Did Dorothy find her slippers? Because there was a tornado." And then it was, "Hey, you need to take care of yourself. And then him to me, all right, good." That was it. That was my last conversation. Never once did I think that was going to be the last conversation. Never once did I think that my kids were going to lose their dad. I feared it because of his health, but not because of what actually happened. So I went outside And I was met up with an old friend of mine from high school, and actually elementary school. She happened to have married my ex-husband's brother, so we would have been sister-in-laws. She was out there along with my ex-husband's, his name is John. So John's ex-girlfriend, they had just recently broke up. And they were there to let me know that John died in a car accident on his way home. I had one of our boys at our house, and the other two were hanging out at Dad's. They looked at me, and I didn't know how to respond. I had so many thoughts, so many feelings, but I also had a child in that house stomping around as if he were going to lose his head. How do I grasp around all of that? How do I manage my feelings and emotions so that I am not making it worse for him, right? So I go back into the house. They leave. The girls leave. I go back into the house, and the hardest part was waking up our son, Garrett. So John and I, we have Matthew, Maxwell, and Garrett together. He was a stepdad to my daughter Abigail for a short period of time, but they did continue to grow, as they got older. So they still had that bond. He still considered her a daughter. My daughter had lots of dads, I guess. But yeah, so I had to wake up Garrett. And I still have nightmares about that, because how do you do that? How do you wake up a child and say, hey, I know you were just sleeping really well, but your dad's gone. Like, how do you do that? There is no manual. I was looking at my husband, for advice, and he couldn't even give it, because, what do you do? It is all happening right in front of you so quickly, and you have to be that adult, and you have to try to muster up all that courage that you have for your child, and yet I found none. So I just sat there poking at him like, hey honey, and I was so afraid to say it, but Max was still prancing around the house, Dad's dead. So Garrett got woken up, and he found out. And that was tough. It was hard for me to watch my kids go through losing their dad in a blink of an eye, knowing they weren't going to see him again. My son Matthew, our son Matthew, they had the hardest relationship for the longest time, and this was around the time that John started to understand Matthew. And so even to this day, Matthew is now 20, he still is like, why did it have to happen then? Like, why did it have to happen when he was finally understanding me? And so I was crying a lot at that time. The boys had to go to the funeral. I was going to go. There were some reasons why I couldn't. None that I could control. I'll leave it at that. But I did have an amazing friend, Cheryl, who was on my podcast as a host. She came here. She knew that I was going to be hurting. She came here, picked me up, took me to the fair, get my mind off of it for a little bit, and then promised that she would be there for the boys, and she did so. All of those fears, I thought, all of the problems and the worries and all that, as soon as the funeral was done with, I thought I was going to be able to manage them. But the problem is, I never had a great loss of a parent. I was never super close to my parents, so I wouldn't know how to handle it. Now I lost my grandma, and now I understand. But that's kind of pathetic to me, I feel like, because I was 39 when I lost my grandma. So why was it all of a sudden it took that for me to realize? But honestly, I never lost a family, someone super, super close to me, that I would know how to handle it. But then along with all of that goes the feelings of my husband for a little bit there got kind of frustrated because he was asking me why I was crying a lot about John. And honestly, it wasn't even about John. I had a problem with not knowing where I stood in my kids' lives anymore because, and it wasn't even jealousy or anything like that. It's just ridiculous. It was, I didn't know how to handle any of their pain, or when I was overstepping, or when I was not stepping up enough. And it was just heartbroken, and I was crying a lot for my boys. Like, they now do not have a dad. They were still in high school. So dad didn't get to see him graduate. But here I am. I was the one trying to die by suicide for so long. But he died. I'm here. There was that survivor's guilt. Like, why on earth was the one who didn't want to die at all? Why was he gone? And why was I here? And now I get to see all of their successes and all of their I get to be in their life. And he doesn't. And that's the sucky part about parenting. You never know what to do. So I took it day by day, week by week, month by month. Now my boys, they're fucking strong. They're still having their moments. I mean, it's been since 2019. But something just recently happened that put me back into that situation of, what the fuck? Why me? Like, why them? And it happened when my son, I'm not going to say which one, because they're, for their own personal reason, like privacy. But there was a pregnancy scare. And I was going off the rails like, what? Wrap that Willie? Like, what are you thinking? You know, like, what the heck? And he's like, oh, I didn't have money for a condom. But you have money for a kid? Like, what? But then all of a sudden, as soon as, like, and my husband was like, no, this will help him grow up. You know, like, he's got to man up now. And I was starting to get into that, yeah, I'm going to be a grandma again. I love my grandbabies, so this is going to be great. And then it suddenly smacked me in the head. John's not going to be here. John will never be able to experience being a grandpa. Knowing what that love is, he's never going to experience it. And it goes all the way back to that manual I wish we had. How do you parent when your kids are in so much pain? I've heard so many times, Mom, how do I make this stop? Mom, why did it have to happen? And then they go and they question me on all these things, and I have no answers. I don't know why. I don't know. But all they really did truly need, was an ear. Or my boys, not so much a shoulder to cry on, because they had John as a parent also, and John was not a feelings on his sleeves kind of guy. So I still see him struggle. There is another one of our boys that had some suicidal ideations at his dad's grave, and that's terrifying to me. And I was very thankful because he was able to reach out to me, and then I was able to get him a little bit of help. But still, like, why did it have to happen? Why? I don't know. None of this is scripted, by the way. Normally I script all my stuff and I write it and I read it and I proof it. I decided I would just go all natural, and it's just bear with me here. I want to be as authentic as possible on this subject because it's hard. But yeah, what I was getting at was, like Cheryl said, when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. And that's exactly what we've been doing since then. But then it got worse, because because we lost another parent to our Brady Bunch. Jill, my sister wife Jill that lived with us. She was the mother, is the mother to my 3 bonus babies. Lived with us at the time and died in our house. We saw all of it. And I was just recently asked, Angie, how do I stop all this pain from the one child that's having the hardest time? And I had no answers for her, because why? Like, why on earth? Now we had lost John. So I had 4 children that had lost a parent. And then within 1 year, I mean, it was May of 2020, so it wasn't even quite a year, we had lost Jill. And so that was 3 more babies that didn't have a parent. She had 2 girls and 1 boy, and they wear their heart on their sleeves. So it was even harder. Now what? I thought I would be seasoned at this at that point when that all happened, because we had lost John. So all right, well, double whammy on us. We got this. My husband and I, we got this, but we didn't. And we still don't. Even if you go through one experience and then the next experience that, comes along the way is very similar to that one, you ain't got that. Every little situation is different. We had 3 different kids now. And then on top of it, our son Colton, our youngest, he saw it all also, but he was super quiet and wouldn't talk. He shut down completely. I was so wrapped up into everyone else that I forgot all about Colton and how he was feeling. And because of what he saw, it was the school that had to reach out and be like, hey, he's talking about this. And I'm like, what? Oh my God, I feel so horrible. I am here to tell you that it sucks. When you go through a divorce and you have children together, and then you make a new family, like we did, there is no right or wrong way of parenting. Okay, well, I should say there is wrong parenting, but there ain't no right ones either. You have to learn every day. There's something different, and you have to learn how to manage through it. But no amount of parenting, no amount of therapy, no amount of books, reading, whatever, podcasts, there's nothing out there that can prepare you to lose 2 parents within a year and then have your house just be completely full of kids that are mourning. And you are hurt as a parent yourself watching that. Grades start slipping. Well, now, do I be on my ass about the grades? Or on their ass about the grades? Or do I be like, hey, I know what you're going through? It was so hard, and it still is. The reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because Mother's Day is coming up, and we did have that pregnancy scare. I say we, I was not a part of that. I mean, my son had that pregnancy scare. And all of that, I go, why me? That's survivor's guilt. The survivor's guilt is the death of me. And then I get stuck in my head, and I tend to shut people out. My husband will see me laying in bed, and I will make sure I get my shit done for the most part. But I'm not me. Right now, I am not me. Because I know that this coming week, one of my bonus daughters is coming to our house along with my grandson, and Mama Jill's not going to be here. Nana Jill is not going to be here. But I'm going to be here. And I get to have fun with them. I get to watch him grow. And she doesn't. I want to know, does anyone out there actually know, what to do? Because I am stuck. I would think I would be a pro at this by now, but I am truly stuck. I really am. I don't know how to even go on at times because I feel so guilty. Whenever I catch myself in a really good moment, like for example, um, our all three of my boys have a really good job. I want to call their dad and be like, "Hey, what's up? Guess what? They're all nailing it right now." I can't. I can't do that. I lost a lot of faith a long time ago for reasons I did not talk about on this podcast yet. Not sure if I want to get there, but I lost a lot of faith. So it's really hard to go, okay, well, he's up there and he sees you. Do I say that to my children? Yes, 100%. Do they listen to this podcast? Nope. So they ain't going to hear it anyway. But I do question, like, why? Why'd you do this to my kids? Some people say that it builds character. Some people say that, just that's what you're supposed to just deal with it. Move forward. Now I want to stress here, I am not playing victim. I am not the victim. I am watching my kids succeed and all of that. And then whenever they do, I'm thankful I'm here and wishing that the other parents could be here. But the biggest issue and the biggest reason why I wanted to talk about all of this was because of our daughter. We share together, Shelby. And not only did she lose mom, but she also lost a few friends to suicide, like one right before, one after, and then lost a friend to cancer. And she's only 17, or going to be 17. What, like, the amount of things that she has put us through because since Jill has passed on has been like crazy. She has put us through a crazy roller coaster, and I know it's because of what she went through. But like, we put her through therapy, we put her through, all kinds of things. The schools made accommodations, and still, it's like, when I look at her, I don't see happiness at all, and I don't know how to solve it. I don't know how to fix it. Because the only way to fix it, I think, is to have her mom here, and she's not. And it's terrifying because she's also dabbling in all of the very risky behaviors. And it's like, I want to be able to look at Jill and be like, hey, how do we do this? Like, what do we do? Let's do this together. Let's nip this in the ass. But I can't because she's not here. I don't know. Maybe I needed this podcast for myself. I'm not sure, but I do know that I just want to stress enough that there is never going to be enough safety that you can put in place for your child or children when it comes to life, because life throws curveballs and you have to manage the fuck out of them. I personally tell my kids, to all of them, to just like, what would your mom or your dad want you to be doing right now? I just I constantly reassure them that, hey, they were proud of you, they see you, they're happy with you. But I don't know, like, I'm sure they are. If they were here, yes, obviously. But I lost a little bit of that faith, and losing Jill and John definitely did not help that at all. So I'm wondering, is there anybody out there listening that knows how to move forward? Because Mother's Day is now just a little bit away, and I'm afraid to even celebrate it because my best friend is not here, and her kids miss her a lot, and she deserves to be celebrating Mother's Day. She deserves to be drinking that wine with me, singing karaoke on our Disney Frozen karaoke machine. And she's not here. Also, it's really hard to live life with my grandbabies at times because I look at them and I go, okay, you guys are missing out on two awesome people. And I don't know what to do. Someone did ask me, like, how do I do it with my grandkids? And I will say that I talk about their other grandparent to them every time they're here. They're only two. But if I continue to do that and continue to say, Nana Jill and I did this, or this is what Nana's saying, or this is what Bumpa or Grandpa did, hopefully that'll help them. Because I want our grandkids to know how much they would have been loved. They are loved by them. So that is what I do with them. My children, that's different. They're older, and they went through it when they were older. So they didn't have all those, like my little ones don't have all those experiences that, you know, my grandkids have. My older ones got to have all of that, and then it just ripped away. So it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, I guess what I'm getting at with all that is never take life for granted. Always make sure that you tell your loved ones you love them. And when it comes to your kids grieving, I've found it best to give a little space, but also make sure that they know they can reach out to you at any time, no matter what time. And grieve with them. I have to grieve with them. I mean, the other half of my children is gone. And so I have to grieve with them. That's just what I'm going to do. And with that being said, I don't even know if this all made sense, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to publish it. Hope you all took something from it. I know I probably needed to get it out anyway. So thank you for tuning in and listening to me go off on all this. I hope you have a great Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. And if you're like me, give yourself a pat on the back that you're still doing it. Because a lot of times I do so much like guilt, that survivor's guilt, that I don't give myself enough credit for, like, hey, you're still here with them. Like, you're still pushing through with them. They're still coming to you, so clearly you're doing something right. Give yourself a pat on the back. And go out there and embrace the weird. And I say make normal feel boring because, honestly, our life, my husband and I, the one that we built and the one that was handed to us, it's crazy. And I would hate to see it boring. So make normal feel boring. Bye.